Welcome to the Unitarian Church in Fall River, Massachusetts.
This is our time for the lighting of the chalice. My colleague Richard will assist me in this endeavor. May the light of truth illumine our minds. May the spark of love set our hearts on fire. May the flame of freedom and worship burn brightly within us and beyond us, now and always. Every once in a while, the ministers run into a timely quote that touches the mind and the heart and becomes a favorite. This is one I haven't used in a while, but it's a favorite of mine from Raymond John Bond. Here's what he said, and it's a fitting invocation. What is required of us in our time is that we go down into uncertainty, where what is new is old as every morning, and what is well known is not known as well. That we go down into the most human, where living men and women have vanished, and the music of their meaning has been trapped and sealed. What is asked of us in our time is that we break open our block caves and find each other. Nothing less will heal the anguished spirit, nor release the heart to act in love. So may it be. Blessed be. Do we have any announcements anyone wishes to make?
Morning, everybody. So nice to see you again. I wanted to say thank you so much for driving all the way down here. I'm headed forward to leading worship for us today.
Thank you.
It's a little inspiration. And let me tell you that next week, we will meet with Lisa Carey Wood. Some of you might remember her because she has been here a couple of times, several years ago. But I know that you'll appreciate her, so please do come here.
There was an announcement I wanted to make was, again, we are looking for people who want to associate with Laundry Love here in Fall River. We have 2 locations. They do free laundry services for the homeless and people who can't afford to do their own laundry. Donations are coming through Laundry Love here in Fall River. They're trying to get more time because right now they got 2 hours on each day, which is not enough to do laundry when you have a whole bunch of people. So the more donations they can receive through Laundry Love, that they can end up extending those hours and having more time for people who definitely need to get their laundry done, who are homeless in the city of Fall River. And having clean clothes will make them feel better, you know? That's the whole idea with Laundry Love. And of course, my son, who is going to be 20 years old in May, is heading Laundry Love. And for him to do this on his own, to do something to give back to the community, is amazing. And I'm so proud of him today, even though he's, pig-headed in a way, but he's still got a goal. And his goal is to make sure that he can serve the community of Fall River, help them out with the homeless, and figuring out little things. At a young 20 years old, you figure there are a whole bunch of teenagers out there today who are homeless, who have no one to speak to. And my son goes out there and speaks to everyone and talks to everyone because he wants information. And that's what he's doing through Laundry Love. He's expanding it, and I'm hoping that anyone would like to go online. You can check out Laundry Love Fall River, and you'll see the locations and things where you can help out. Even giving them laundry detergent or softener, anything like that. So that's a good thing.
Free lunch today. We're having a potluck lunch. Everyone's invited, but you brought your food around, you're welcome to come and help us consume what we brought. And if you're busy today, think about who you should be address. We obviously want to use it, won't send you an email or whatever, so you're not. But we'll tell you what's happening.
Else? Our opening hymn is number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Spirit come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed by this sweet worship and our free. Let us join together in the recitation of our covenant, number 471. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow in a harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Blessed be. A reading adapted from the writings of Paul Tillich. When I was a student in seminary, Paul Tillich was a progressive thinker from a German theological background. And, he was a favorite of a lot of the more progressive students. And these thoughts were adapted from his book, Dynamics of Faith, many years ago. Here's what he said. Every faith is concerned about something or somebody, but this something may prove to be not ultimate at all, but a failure in its concrete expression. A God disappears, but the quest for the divine goes on. If faith is understood as belief that something is true, doubt is incompatible with the act of faith. But if faith is understood as being ultimately concerned, doubt is a necessary element in it. It is a consequence of the risk of faith. One could call it existential doubt, in contrast to the methodological doubt of the scientist or the skeptical doubt of the agnostic. Existential doubt does not question whether a special proposition is true or false. It does not reject every concrete truth, but it is aware of the element of insecurity and mystery in every existential truth. At the same time, the doubt which is implicit in faith accepts this insecurity and takes it into itself in an act of courage. Faith includes courage. Therefore, it can include the doubt about itself. Existential doubt and faith are poles of the same reality, the state of ultimate concern. Serious doubt is confirmation of faith, and it indicates the seriousness of the concern and its unconditional character. Here ends the reading from Dynamics of Faith by Paul Tillich. This is a time for sharing of joys and concerns in the congregation and among ourselves.
Well, yes, both a joy and a concern. I have sold a property, a house in West Bartley, place, and we're going to have a estate sale. So if any of you are looking for stuff to put in your garage or basement, it's actually going to be either this next weekend or the following weekend. So I'll let you know for sure next week. But you can get a private showing if you want to. I'm going to be there at 2:30 today. There are other days when I bring you down if you want a preview before the actual date of the sale. So it's a joy, but it's a concern. I've never been through this kind of thing before, so I'm a bit stressed. So any good advice that you can send my way, send them to get me through this process. That's all.
Okay.
Every time I stand up, it's a little victory.
Yeah.
So I see in the service this morning that the subject of the sermon is honking for now. And happened this morning as I was driving in across the construction area on 79. They changed the streets every other day, and I was very careful trying to look where I was going. And this guy beside me honks at me. And I got so angry. I was really upset, because I was trying to be a safe driver and he honks at me. So, but practicing mindfulness, I said, why am I so angry? He's probably more confused than I am. Anyway, I thought it would be appropriate to add that to the sermon. Thank you.
Well, joy and concern is Tricia is not feeling well, and now they're online. They said they made a nice big meal to bring today, but unfortunately you can't bring it. But they're at home, they're watching online, and our prayers and wish you well, Al and Tricia.
Okay. You'll find the responsive reading printed on the insert from the writings of Kenneth L. Patton many years ago. The faith of doubt. Doubt, he says, is a valorous and necessary faith. For to doubt is to believe in intelligence, in the inventive imagination of the human spirit. Doubt exercises an exemplary humility, for we doubt our own assumptions and creations. Doubt is the forefront of faith and the inexhaustibility of growth in the limitless extent and wonder of the universe. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be discovered. I invite you to join with me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. And I share these thoughts from Jalal-ud-Din Rumi, a 13th century mystic, Islamic mystic. Let us move beyond any attachment to names. Every war and every conflict between human beings has happened because of some disagreement about names. It's such an unnecessary foolishness because just beyond the arguing, there is a long table of companionship set and waiting for us to sit down. What is praised is one, so the praise is not one too many. Many jugs being poured into a huge basin. All religions, all this singing, one song. The differences are just illusion and vanity. Sunlight looks slightly different on this wall than it does on that wall, and a lot different on this other one, but it is still one light. We have borrowed these clothes, these time and space personalities from a light. And when we praise, we pour them back in. Let the light shine forth within you and around you. Blessed be. O Star of Truth, hymn number 293. Beneath thy guidance, my pathway appear. However long the journey, however hard it be, though I be lone and weary, lead on, I follow thee. I know thy blessed radiance can never lead astray. Though ancient creed and custom may point another way. Oh, through the untrod desert, or over trackless sea, though I be lone and weary, lead on, I follow thee. In the deep south of this country of ours, where religious fundamentalism sometimes is the strongest you see around you, and sometimes you encounter bumper stickers on a car with a little mini sermon on them, like Jesus is the answer, and honk if you love Jesus. Well, some years ago, my late colleague, Don Marshall, some of you may remember Don, was waiting at a stoplight, happened to be in Florida, and when he noticed a car with the honk if you love Jesus sticker on the rear bumper. And he thought to himself, what the heck? I love Jesus in my own way. So why not give my horn a few beeps? And he did. And the woman who was driving the other car rolled down her window and cussed him out for being impatient while waiting for the light to change. Well, so much for the love of Jesus. Yeah. Well, there's another story that made the rounds some years ago too on the internet about another clueless person, happens to be a woman, also from Florida, who put one of those honk if you love Jesus bumper stickers on her car. And she reported that she had an uplifting experience while she was waiting at a busy intersection, lost in thought about the Lord. She hadn't noticed that the light had changed. And she found that the bumper sticker really works. There were lots of people who loved Jesus. And the driver behind her started honking like crazy and yelled as loudly as he could, like at a football game, "Jesus Christ, go!" And she thought to herself, he must really love the Lord. So soon everyone started honking. And she leaned out the window and she waved and smiled, all these Jesus-loving folk. Well, then another driver started yelling something about a sunny beach and waved one of his fingers in the air, which her kids told her was a Hawaiian good luck sign. So she leaned out the window, she smiled and gave it back. And just then she noticed that the light had changed and she stepped on the gas and made it through the intersection just before it turned red again. Praise the Lord for such wonderful folks, she explained to herself. Well, the Unitarians, some years ago, back in one of our fellowships, got tired of those particular Jesus bumper stickers and decided to make some of their own. And they came up with two. They became popular amongst UUs. To question is the answer. And honk if you're not sure. With the subcaption, Unitarian Universalist Churches and Fellowships. Well, for my taste, I like one that was produced by the Unitarian Church in North Adams. I don't think it's available anymore. I haven't seen it around. That said, UU Church, where you can be you. But the Florida bumper stickers say something about us that's true, I think, of UUs everywhere. Namely, that we are, you might say, the doubting Thomases of the religious marketplace. We ask a lot more questions than we have answers for. And when it comes to the deep existential questions about the meaning of life and death, most of us would have to honk with those who aren't sure about the answers, though we may have some strong beliefs. You see, when UUs get together for a card party, they don't play bridge. They play, I doubt it. It's a fact that most of those who are members of a UU church today are come-outers from other denominations or no tradition at all. And many, or at least used to be drawn to our church because they are troubled with the doubts about some of the traditional beliefs of fundamentalism and religious orthodoxy. They have doubts about the inerrancy of the Bible. They have doubts about the virgin birth, the divinity of Jesus, the physical resurrection of Christ, concept of original sin, eternal hell, life after death, even God. I can remember my theological school days when I was back then a good-hearted congregationalist, having serious doubts about all of those questions and issues. Wondering how I could be a minister and preach about such matters when either I didn't believe in them myself, or I was quite unsure about them. I was even more troubled by the notion advanced by some that if you did not believe these things, you were liable for eternal damnation. Well, it was utterly beyond my comprehension that a God of love would condemn a finite human being for the sin of being honestly mistaken. I found I could not be comfortable with my doubts within a so-called neo-Orthodox framework, and so I sought out another church. And eventually I discovered Unitarian Universalism. Here I found that my doubts were equally honored along with my beliefs, and that it was okay not to be sure. And that my beliefs might be expected to change from time to time over the years, as some of them indeed have. So I've learned to live with my doubts. They're a part of who I am. And they're part of what it means to be human. At least as a UU minister, I didn't have to pretend that I had all the answers, even though sometimes I wish I did. Someone somewhere has said that Unitarian Universalism is the church of the holy agnostic. I like that. That may or may not be a fair characterization, but there's enough truth in it to own it as part of who we are. All the word agnostic means is without knowledge, which is to say very simply, I don't know, or I'm not sure. Behind the confession of the agnostic is a basic humility and reverence for truth, and the unwillingness to claim as true that which one lacks knowledge of. Zen Buddhists call this the beginner's mind. Oh, I like that. Beginner's mind. which is the simple confession that we don't know very much about anything when it comes to big ultimate questions. Theologian Paul Tillich, who reading I shared a bit ago, once said that the despair about truth by the skeptic shows that truth is still his infinite passion. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates used to make a kind of game out of pursuing the truth from those who presumed they had it. And he would trap them in the wiles of his Socratic dialogue with one question after another question until he exposed their ignorance. He soon discovered that there were, you might say, three kinds of people in the world: those who don't know, those who don't know that they don't know, and those who don't know but think that they know, and those who don't know and know that they don't know. Socrates considered himself to be one of the latter and sought the company of those who were likewise enlightened as to the limits of their human knowledge. So Socrates, could well be the patron saint of the Church of the Holy Agnostic. And as those who remember your history, he became a martyr because he asked too many questions. The governing leaders in Athens feared he would lead too many young people astray, and so they condemned him to death for fear that the younger generation would begin to question their authority. Thus, the origin of the UU bumper sticker. Question is the answer. Doubt is often portrayed as the opposite of and even the enemy of faith. And that's so much unfortunate. Tennyson once wrote, "There lives more faith in honest doubt than in half the creeds." Likewise, Robert Weston, late UU minister, who said, "Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the handmaiden of truth. And truth, we might add, is the husband of faith." Those who would divorce truth from faith make their God into a false idol that cannot endure. Well, Paul Tillich was one of the first of contemporary religious thinkers to say that faith and doubt were not opposites, really, but expressions of the same fundamental reality, the state of ultimate concern about the meaning of existence. If faith, noted Tillich, is understood as being ultimately concerned, then doubt is a necessary element in it. It is a consequence of the risk of faith. Serious doubt, you might say, is confirmation of faith. It indicates the importance and the seriousness of its concern. Faith, you might say, is concerned with the great existential questions of human existence. Whence have we come? What are we? Why are we here? And whither are we going? Does life have any ultimate meaning or purpose? Is there a universal mind or intelligence within or behind the universe? Are there moral as well as physical laws? What can we know? Faith, as ultimate concern, says yes to life and affirms the goodness of being in spite of the negatives that are there. Well, Tillich put it this way: by affirming our being, we participate in the self-affirmation of being itself. And by affirming the gift of being, we affirm the God who is the ground of all being. Well, we cannot force ourselves to have a faith that we don't possess, but we can accept the doubt within us as an element of that faith that we seek, and ultimately an expression of it. You might say there are three kinds of faith: intellectual, religious, existential. Intellectual doubt is the methodical doubt of the scientist pursuing the truth about objective reality. Religious doubt is the questioning of the truth of certain doctrines and beliefs, and sometimes scientific proofs conflict with religious views, as when Galileo refuted the earth-centered view of the cosmos, then taught by official church doctrine, or when Darwin's biological theory of evolution contradicted some aspects of the Genesis account in the Bible. And the third type of doubt, existential doubt, is rooted in the finitude and the contingency and the limitations of human existence itself. We don't know when we drive to work in the morning if we or our loved ones will be killed or injured in an accident on the highway, or if we take the bus, whether the bus driver will get us there safely or not. But in spite of this, we continue to go to work each day. We don't know when we fly in an airplane whether we'll get back to Earth in one piece or plunge to our death in the sea, never to be found again, dead or alive, as has happened to some. In spite of these risks, most of us take our chances, and we fly anyway. And we take some comfort in the fact that statistics say it's safer to fly than to drive your own car. But still, we wonder. And we know that none of us will get out of this world alive, but we want to postpone that existential fact as long as possible. We don't know when we marry, that someday we might end up in the divorce court. Yet we marry anyway, because our faith at the time is greater than our doubt. And we are willing to take a chance on love. One of my favorite songs, Taking a Chance on Love. Yet we know that life is a risk, love is a risk, and that there's no act of faith that does not involve an element of risk. We go on risking and loving anyway, don't we? Yeah. And we don't know when we have children, if someday by a tragic twist of fate, they'll die before us, but still we continue to have children because something within us continues to believe in life in spite of the possibility of tragic loss. I like Ken Patton's words from the responsive reading. Doubting is but the forefront of faith, a faith in the inexhaustibility of growth and the illimitable extent and wonder of the universe. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what we shall be. When we stop doubting, we stop growing. Yeah, but doubt is a disquieting feeling, isn't it? And sometimes we flee the doubt within us by latching onto rigid creeds that give the impression of absolute certainty. And it's this that leads to fanaticism. And there's no one more dangerous than a religious fanatic who knows that he or she is right. But behind every fanaticism is a lingering doubt that won't go away. And it says, release me and let me go, so that faith can grow to larger dimensions of being and consciousness. Your God is too small. Well, just as there is a fanaticism of faith that flees the disquietude of doubt, so there's a kind of fanaticism of doubt that flees the commitments of faith. This is the doubt of total skepticism, cynicism, and despair. The great French philosopher Descartes once applied the test of doubt to everything he could think of until he came to the persistent fact of his own doubting mind and consciousness. The one thing he could not deny was the indubitable reality of his questioning mind and thoughts. I think, therefore I am, he concluded. And he carried to extremes, Descartes' doubting game arrives at the proposition, I doubt, therefore I might not be, which Buddhists have been telling us for centuries, that our ego or sense of self is transitory and ultimately an illusion. Those who've played the children's game of I doubt it know that he or she who doubts every player indiscriminately ends up with a growing pack of unwanted cards. So it is in the game of life. Those who doubt everything and everyone can be sure that life will give them a bad deal. There comes a time when doubt itself must be subject to the test of doubt. Somewhere along the line, we have to make the leap of faith and trust in someone or something at some time. And it's all right to honk if you're not sure. But to lean on your horn all up and down the road of life, well, that's, give me a break, that's absurd. And a darn nuisance as well. So we have to learn to live with our doubts and not let them rob us of all joy of living. The universe does exist. Life has evolved. We are alive and aware, though we might not know with certainty the why and how of it all. Being has triumphed over non-being, Tillich said, and we're here with all our questions seeking greater truth and well-being. And while we're here, we all can do what we can to make of that part of the world we inhabit a haven of love and justice, mercy and peace. The endeavor to do so will bring meaning to our lives. And eventually we learn that we don't have to have all the answers in order to live the questions into being. Honk if you're not sure. Honk again if you love life anyway. O thou who art the source of our faith and the aim of our doubts, move us out of ourselves into the exigencies of life, there to meet thee in the midst of the mysteries of human encounters, wherein we may eventually discover the true meaning of our lives. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen. Time for the offering. And now may the truth that makes us free, the hope that never dies, and the love that casts out fear lead us forward together until the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Blessed be. Amen.